More that devastated a lot of our communities. So we were in the middle of studying Love That Dog, which is a book about poetry, and I asked the kids to write a poem about their experience, expecting a little bit of pushback, and I got none. It's like the words just came out. And so I thought, I'll put these on the bulletin board and it'll look nice, and they were really good. So we decided to turn it into a book. And I have 5 of them here to share their poems tonight. So we have Kinsley, Wyatt, Alan, Ben, and Charlie. Share their poems. Kinsley, come on up.
Coming fast. For some reason, give us a last. Now he came to give us a fright like he did then.
And I was still college and able to choose the one who was beautiful. I was happy when I met the spirit. Was hungry, I was blessing myself. I was sad. I was not happy when I couldn't follow my electronics. I was bored. I had nothing to do when I had no soul.
After the storm of Helene, you will not guess what I have seen. Trees that fell on power lines, and I have also seen people cry. But I have gotten over the damage it has made. There is no need to be afraid. Because I knew with you, you're safe. Now the storm has left. Helene, what you had to make us clean? You took the town I love, but just because the town was fun. Because it grew the scary call. You couldn't say, but here's the best. Sadness, sadness, my old friend. Please leave me be, I have seen enough of thee. If I had one wish, it would be to get out of this.
Thank you, guys. Mr. Chair, not to make him stay here longer than we want to, but I think we came up for a continuous improvement meeting, Mr. Allen. It's something that they shared with us. I thought it was very powerful. So, Ms. McGinnis, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you Did you feel like that was a great way to help the kids process what they were going through?
Yeah, I think so.
And to put words to it,
Yeah.
make it something, and I love the honesty and the sincerity. So appreciate you letting your
It's
students.
just fun. Nobody fought me on it, you know, tell the first graders to write a poem.
Well, the other good thing I think you said during that time too is the kids learn how to publish, which is pretty cool. But we really do thank all the parents for having us here tonight, and certainly thank this community for coming together. Yeah, well, thank you.
But certainly won't stick around if you like.
Good job, guys. Good job. Please, Rob, I think you can pull your information tonight too. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I don't know if it's a poem or it's, I can get all in here.
So, that's good stuff. When you got time, just Alan, I mean, that book will bring it to you.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're moving on. The first thing we have is absolutely, this is this.
I'm Tiffany Dennis. I'm the program director of Peak After School, which is our after school program here at Polk schools. We serve pre-K to 12th grade, 6 locations in the county. This past summer, we earned the cohort 17 grant application, which allowed us to serve pre-K, and that actually made us the most comprehensive after school 21st century program in the state. There is no other program in the state of North Carolina that's 21st century that serves pre-K at this time. And so it's a really big deal for us. And so I wanted to take the time to thank you guys for that and to thank the school for their support, because it really wouldn't be possible without the support of all the administrators here. I just wanted to talk briefly. I made this little annual report for you guys. It has some more details in it, but I just wanted to share a little bit about our program and about the grant funding that we've received. This past year, we were funded to serve 330 students, and we served 445 total with the grant funding. And our wait list went to the lowest that it's been in the past 4 years, which was only 59 students across the whole district. For the 25-26 school year, we'll be funded to serve 240 students. That has to do with the sunsetting of our cohort 16 grant. So the 21st century grants are only on 3-year cycles. And so the cohort 16 grant is sunsetting this year, but we applied for the cohort 18 grant and we were awarded those funds. And so that's $424,000 for the next 3 years to serve an additional 160 students. So we have 80 from our cohort 17 grant, and then we have 160 from the cohort 18 grant groups awarded. Just a little bit about our programming. We were monitored this year by our program administrator, and she commended us for the ratio that we maintained, which is very much a reflection of the school day programming. And they actually requested that we apply for the best practice spotlight, which will be one program in the state of North Carolina that's highlighted for their after school practice. So we're very excited about that. You guys have any questions?
Any questions?
So, Chair, she's not gonna say it, but Ms. Dennis, who else in the public school world got a 21st century?
There were only 3 programs that were school districts that got a 21st century grant, and we were one of them.
Wow.
So the rest of them were nonprofit organizations that typically have grant writers. There were 96 applications submitted and only 25 were approved for after school and summer funding. So it's a competitive grant. It's not something that we just automatically receive.
I'm going to make another point too, that Ms. Dennis is very humble, but our program is often used and held up as an example. To be frank with you, and told you that we will not continue to receive this funding But I think they continue to give it to us because we do run such a stellar program and people do refer to us. So I want to congratulate Ms. Dennis on her hard work and certainly all of her staff. If you've ever been a parent with kids who need after school care or a teacher who was worried about a child and what kind of support they were getting, our after school program takes care of it. And we greatly appreciate that. Great job.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your help. I also think, you know, I don't think leverage is the right term. I think we bring a lot of public value with this program in an area that would be considered in most cases a little bit of mission creep. It's not our mission to provide after school services, but it certainly benefits our kids and our parents. So I think as you're talking to county commissioners and other people in the community about the value of Polk County schools, that certainly ought to be a part of your conversation.
100%. It is. Good stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have a song program, Ms. Jennifer Beaver.
Ms. Beaver, could I make a motion for you? Yes.
Everybody feeling right now? I just want to tell you about our summer feeding program. It's basically the same as last year. We still have their breakfast, we're going to give theirs, like that. All the programs will be, you know, will be here. Sorry about that. You're going to be watching Tiffany's after school program and Sunday school. We're going to be all those serving and then we also have dance again this year, the Bible school. I'm working there. And then, starting this past January, we started doing WNC source mix with preschool. And we're going to continue to think out this summer also. They have to pay us, so they're a federal program, so we pay them. And another program that I reached out to us is, Simon's 40 Power Academia. They're going to go 8 weeks and they want us to feed them also. And the other program, our Thursday night, we'll get back. You know, last year we gave out 5 breakfasts and 5 lunches every Thursday afternoon from 3:30 to 6, which is awesome. A lot of the central office people come and help us get the bags out and stuff. And obviously, we had, at first, it was like 150, 175, and they're there are 273 kids. So this year, government has decided to let us do 7 days. So when they come on Thursdays, they'll get 7 breakfasts and 7 lunches. And I've also worked with Man, and they're going up our, also doing 250 men.
Awesome. That's it, for sure.
Ms. Beaver, in terms of visiting out to visit together, I greatly appreciate that service for the community. That service. I would venture to guess this helps us out from a revenue standpoint, does it not? Yeah, make money, Ms. Beaver? Wow.
And it allows my staff to want to work. Yeah, paycheck is not my fish, you know. It's hard for them because they don't get their next paycheck to then second for us. So this is not up. And that's just
Any chance of coverage? All see the lots.
That was calculated into our projections of short interest. Okay.
well, the times we make, you know, if we, my goal is 300 cars in a day. So they're at the end, the word finally got out and people.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Well, again, I have to, not to add a comment to everything, but the amount of work Ms. Taylor and Ms. McIntyre are including these applications and scheduling all that and working with these other partners and agencies, as you said. Thank you.
Yeah, so I haven't got my particular point. I don't have my boxes for them to keep. I have to put a cup in there so they'll know how much milk before in the cup for each meal. The stickers on there, frozen and refrigerator bags. They have to do that last year. They protect the plan that guy this year was not ready. What's the yes. And on week we're not getting out is like always.
That we some G30, right? That the G30 farm.
Yeah. We're excited.
Thank you. All right, next up, instructional, we have public back field trip request, Mr. Green.
Mr. Chair, just real quickly, I think you guys are very aware of our FFA camp. They do that every year. And we certainly support that. It's a great activity in terms of what kids skills to develop here. The FFA State Convention, as you know, they take a select group of individuals to that, also leadership opportunities. And the best camp proposals are similar to what they did last summer. So unless you found any glaring errors, I feel like everything's in order. We'd like to move on.
Great. For a motion, second for group field trip request. Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those nay. Motion carries 7-0. Next, we have spring testing, Samuel Doe.
Good job.
So, on the screen, we'll go to the second, okay. So today is day one of testing for elementary school and middle school, as you see on the slideshow. It's the final 10 days we have to start, and so today is day one. And this is for grades 3 through 8 math and reading, and 5 through 8 science. We also, the end of course, EOCs, the next week, they'll start their 5 days. You have to test with the last 5 days, and that's in math 1 and 3, English 2, and biology. Next slide, please. This is our testing schedule. As you see, there's day one right there for elementary and middle school. And the next slide, please. Then we have our EOC. They'll start next Monday, so we can expect those next Monday. Also, next week, we'll be doing RTA testing, and I'll be discussing that in just a second. And then we have our second administration for those students. They get another chance if parents deem necessary and the teachers deem necessary. Next page, please. Okay. Additional assessments. The Read to Achieve, that is the big thing in 3rd grade, and some of you may be aware of that, and some of you may not. Grade 3 Read to Achieve law is a North Carolina initiative designed to improve early literacy by helping all students read at grade level by the end of 3rd grade. It's pretty heavy incentive there for students to be able to read by the end of 3rd grade. There's multiple assessments. There's also a reading camp that's also offered in the summer that Ms. Crump actually oversees. Then we have several other opportunities that are given to be able to get to that proficiency level for those 3rd grade students. We also have in-class testing that I didn't add here, but in-class testing is another assessment that they can use to exempt those students from testing. They have to make a Lexile score, which is a reading score, a 725, to exempt them from this, and there are other kind of categories that they can use for exemption as well. Right now, so far, we have 126 students that have met proficiency through one path or another, and we have a total of 158 students in 3rd grade. So we're expecting that number will jump when we get to the EOGs. So we do expect that to occur. The Read to Achieve will be, if you see the second line there, or second paragraph, that will occur on May the 20th. And they'll have that assessment. Then they'll have June the 17th after the reading camp. And that'll be the other assessment. And in the fall, we'll have the 3rd administration for that assessment. So they actually have 4 assessments that they can use to pass the integrated or 3rd grade assessments for the in-class assessments. So many pathways to be able to pass the 3rd grade. We also have the WIDA EL assessment, and those scores came out today. So we'll be looking at those heavily. We also have pre-ACT and ACT and work keys assessments in the high school. Those scores are in as well, and they have been uploaded and they have been shared with those teachers at the high school or college. Okay, this is our reporting. The reporting is online this year for teachers, and I will release those the following day or as soon as the classrooms are finished with their their assessments. So those will be released quite quickly, for grades 3 through 8 in reading and math. If you'll look there on that science in grades 5 and 8, I'm not gonna be able to release, or those aren't gonna be released to us until August, because they revamped the test this year. So in August, we'll expect to see those scores. And again, the read to achieve is up in the those scores the following day. These are EOCs there, all but biology. Biology will be held as well. This is considered the science assessment. And we have those standards. And then we have the NC Extend 1 test. Those will also be released as well the following day. Reporting information. Results from online testing, and again, I've stated that, will be released to the teachers by the end of the following day if assessments are complete. Okay. We will have access to view the EOGEOC's RTA and Extend 1 preliminary results prior to the state's release of official test results. So those have to be checked and rechecked at the state level. And then as soon as we have those, then as soon as those are official, then they'll go on to that for the actual assessment, the internal review assessment that we'll be getting. And this year, it was September the 3rd that we got those results, if you remember. And so those will be coming out around that same period. So what we expected in the latter years. Is what has happened. So we'll be looking at those in the fall. Any questions?
Thank you. Rick, anything there?
No, just always, appreciate the work of all our directors and serving as others in terms of the testing thing. We see the way they count a whole lot, and we feed it all year, we like the way a lot too, so it's necessary.
They are super excited about this. Thanks for this here. All right. Moving along, administrative, the first thing we have here is a budget.
Okay, on the budget amendment, there you go. Okay, on the budget amendment, state, we got an extra $263,036. That's for revision 85 through 90 additional revenues. We had safety grants and some more funds. Transportation comes in along the way, so we got a little bit more of the remainder of our transportation money. And the CTE, and I spelled that wrong, it's Adobe, but anyway, it's reduction. There's a small reduction every year based on the prior years. Adobe, it's not a lot of money, but they usually, it's 1 year behind. And I did some transfer between funds, but that's all I had. Statement. Okay, 2 additional revenues. I added some. We got I budgeted some more fines and forfeitures that we had this year. I started looking at it, and that could be increased because of the revenues that came in. Some interest, and I did some between purpose codes on that one also. Okay, Fund 3, we got federal funds. We had some child nutrition grant that we applied for, that we received. That's for some equipment that Jennifer applied for. IDEA special needs, and a small amount in various other PRCs. A lot of times they'll do interest and some like 1,000 here and 1,000 there. It's just small amounts on the rest of them. The biggest part of that one is the child nutrition. Fund 4, we did the sale of the property that was for that. Was it a right of way? Was that right of way? Yeah. That's I got that in there. That was $80,000. Lottery funds and some county safety funds that we get about $25,000 a year that we can use for safety, like locks. Fund 8, we received, this is about the time we're renewing all of our Polk County Community Foundation grants, so we received some grant money there and some FEMA money. That may end up getting moved to Pump Forward. I've got to talk to the auditor about that one. We had to kind of pull that out so we could keep that FEMA money separate. But that may end up going up to Fund Forward, and I'll do a transfer if that's the case. And we got a small amount for Rotary funds, but the majority of that right there is the PCCF grants, and a good chunk of it is the FEMA reimbursements.
Any questions from the public? Is it action item? For motion, second. Motion and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, fellas. Next, we have student transfer request, Dr. Schweitzer. All these pretty straightforward. I see you take you to closed session.
No objection from administration, sir.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, back to Mr. James, establish dates for our summer board meetings.
Well, Mr. Chair, I'm getting kind of sentimental, so I was wondering if we could tag an extra board meeting in June before I leave, if you don't mind, just so I can see you one more time. June 9th is our regular board meeting date. I'm assuming we want to keep that date. That'll be important for us to think in terms of the action we take from that time frame. But as you know, we try to do a board meeting the end of June for two reasons. Number one, it helps us greatly with our budget process and the final budget amendments we need to adopt. We can always find out, hey, I've got to move this, we got to move this money around, get here or there, make sure the district's whole from a fiscal perspective before we shut down the books at the end of the year. The other thing that meeting would do for us is allow us to catch up on engagement recommendations we may have. So right now, we would propose to you the Friday, June the 27th. We did not want to look at Monday or the 30th because that is the week of the 4th. But we need to try to get as close to the 30th as possible so that Ms. Lois has enough time to get all of the budget amendments done. We could do this early in the afternoon. You guys can do it virtually. It literally will be less than an hour, a 20 or 30 minute meeting max. So just throw that out to you. If the 27th is not a good day for folks, we can talk about it the next. But I do think we need to try to schedule that meeting in lieu of a July meeting as well. So we would not be meeting in July if we schedule that meeting in June. I can't be here by now. And what time was it? So you could be called out maybe 4 o'clock. You can just call in, or you want to wait till 6 o'clock to do it on regular time. We want to get it done pretty quick on Friday afternoon. So just 4 p.m. on Monday. 6 p.m. time could be 6 o'clock.
Get it out there.
So we're going to say 5:30 June the 27th. Is that okay with everybody? Council, they need to take action on that?
Well, no, just have to know. That's right.
So again, that will be in lieu of your July meeting, and so therefore we would not be meeting in July. Again, that'll be a very brief meeting, 5:30 p.m. on June the 27th. Our regular June meeting, the 9th, will be at 6:30 p.m. So this Sunday.
Thank you. Okay, next we got a little supplement adjustment.
Ms. Lovis and I communicated earlier today. We had this in place because we were concerned that after all the calculations were done, we distributed all of our earlier supplements from the fall and saw what the balance was, that we might have to come back and make an adjustment. However, we feel pretty strongly that the final amount is going to be very close to, if not exactly the amount we proposed to you in the fall. So therefore, there's no further action the board needs to take at this time. I didn't want to explain why the item was on the agenda, but we might remove that if you don't mind.
Now, also on that, the reason we do that is that you can't really calculate what you have to spend because of the state until after your last payroll. So then that will not be until a few weeks from now. So,
And you've got employees that are which I think is a good story. You've got a TA, for example, who gets their teaching license, well, then we back pay them, and then do they get that supplement? Well, of course, we want to make sure we're fair. And so that would not be an amount we had originally calculated. So we just kind of worked out nice that we don't have to make a big change.
And if you don't do that, then the state will hold it, so the next year. So you have to make sure you meet those criteria that they on the local side.
All right. Then moving along to the second screen, we'll go to the driver's education contract.
As the board is aware, I believe it's pass-through money from the state. Polk County schools, in most of the districts, especially in Western North Carolina, got out of business trying to do driver's ed a long time ago. Mountain Professionals, we've been with for a long time, they do a great job, we're very happy with the service, have not heard complaints really from parents or anybody else, and so we'd like to continue with that contract. Again, this is pass-through money, it's given to us by the state, and then we contract with Mountain Professionals to do that. I believe we have a driver here in the room with us by the name of Mr. Allen, who can give further detail of how driving teenagers around really goes to Polk County. But again, they hire quality professionals that do a great job with our kids, and the administration would recommend we continue with that contract.
Please, Brad. It's a great contract.
Same one.
It's actually probably cheaper because then you're not having to keep reductive vehicles, because then you have perfect money.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we have a decline in the number of students?
That's it.
We did have, wow, it's actually, believe it or not, it's actually picking up. I heard that from the superintendents around the state, that teenagers evidently are ready to move a bit of a swing back again. We do encounter quite a few who wait for the last minute now. And so there's a backlog, I think Mr. Allen, and I talk about that every time, is that they're trying to catch up as quick as they can. But Mountain Professionals are really good, they'll assign extra people and try to level up. Good question.
Any other questions? Actually, look for motion second, what for not. Motion second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Green, back to the game for strategic planning.
Mr. Chair, I'll stand up for this one. Mr. Green, when he first took over the superintendency, was keenly aware that our strategic plan would not last throughout his tenure. And so in 2020, I had the bright idea we would do a strategic planning process with a kickoff in the spring called Vision 2020. Does anybody remember what happened in the spring of 2020? Mm-hmm. And so we decided at that point, with all the other drama going on, that our strategic plan would move from a 5-year plan to a 10-year plan, and that's exactly what we did. So we are now at that juncture. And I do think it's a great time for us to revisit strategic planning. There's a lot of change, not only at our state level, but even here locally with Polk County Schools. So what I'm going to do is talk about just a little bit about the process, which you guys are already aware of. And then I would like for our team who will be leading Polk County Schools in the future to finish up with the rest of our strategic plan. We did seek a lot of input from stakeholders. It was our desire to do this in a very simple way. You guys are aware of the questions we asked. We simply put the portrait of graduate information out there, asked people to kind of vote on which characteristics they thought were most important for us. We asked what was good about Polk County Schools, what have we done well, what do we need to make sure we preserve. We asked about what that we didn't do so well, maybe some missed opportunities or ways that we could improve as a district. And then we also asked folks, what else should be in our curriculum? In other words, what else should we be teaching kids in the way of content and skills to prepare them for the future? And we got a lot of great feedback, and that's from all stakeholders, not just parents. We had educators chime in. We went to site meetings at our schools, and we still have a few more meetings together. I need to sit down with county government, with some of our partners like Community Foundation, with some other business leaders that I have scheduled up. So what we're doing today is offering this to you in draft form, and they'll talk a little more about that for your consideration. But I do want you to know that I feel good about our process and us trying to get responses back from our stakeholders. We had almost 300 people respond to our survey. I know it sounds like a low number, but if you can get 10% of your stakeholders to respond to anything, you're doing pretty good. We've got a lot of quality feedback there too. And I have to commend Dr. Schweitzer, Ms. Crump, Mr. Murphy, who have to commend them for the work they've done on this. And so at this time, I will turn over this strategic planning show to Dr. Schweitzer. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So I thought it was fitting that the old history teacher gets to talk about the historical connection between our old strategic plan and our new one. Forgive me for the cliche saying, you don't know where you're going until you know where you've been. So one of the first things we did when we collected the stakeholder feedback was to take a look at our strategic plan that ran from 2013 to 2018. In your digital version of the plans, I know you all have print copies, that's actually a hyperlink at the top that will roll you back to that. You can look at it in its full version. But what you see on the paper copy is sort of a breakdown quickly of what those plan priorities were. There was 4 main priorities in that original plan. It was globally competitive students, 21st century professionals, healthy and responsible educational communities, and then finally a focus on facility safety and operations. What we tried to do was distill this information down and say the feedback that we're getting back, what is it telling us about how we did on our old plan? What kinds of things are we doing well? What are our strengths? What are we aligning to what we said? Forgive me for saying this, but did we do what we said we were going to do? Was what we were after in the data? Or were there opportunities we missed, as you heard Mr. Green reference? Or what trends are we seeing that have shifted slightly? Where do we need to maybe refocus a little bit on what our community and our stakeholders are looking for? So one of the things that popped out, I'm certainly not going to read this to you, I'm just going to hit some of the highlights. If you look at globally competitive students, in the older plan, there was a heavy focus on career and college readiness, multicultural experience, and globalism, a lot of those kinds of pieces. Interestingly enough, the trend shift we see in the data coming back to us is a real heavy focus on financial literacy and job skills, project-based learning, focus on the trades, and mainly career readiness. You're starting to see a shift away from this mindset that every child must go to college, away from that, more towards every child needs to have a plan. Are you enlisted? Are you employed? Are you enrolled? What is that pathway that we're looking for? And how do we just Polk County schools do the best we can to get you down that pathway? So you start to see that shift a little bit in the data that we were getting back. Also, in our 21st century professionals, we certainly saw responses back from our stakeholders when we talk about engaging our school communities about a need for highly qualified teachers that we are hiring, we're attracting, we're retaining, all those different pieces. Are we providing adequate training for our own staff and preparing them for the challenges they see in the classrooms every single day? So you see that focus in our old plan, certainly reflected in the feedback we were getting in terms of moving forward. Also in our prior plan, you see down with healthy, responsible educational communities. A real interest is that the data we got back basically confirmed what we're doing in Polk County schools. Instead of what read to you, but I think this line sums it up where it talks about that data reflections. Respondents value personal relationships and community feel of Polk County schools. We saw that again and again in the data we were getting back from survey respondents, the meetings we had in each one of our schools. This conversation about being a part of Polk County schools truly feels like they're a part of a community and part of a family. Sending your child to school just meant that was an extension of your family. And a lot of them talked about those kind of feelings of the need to preserve that. So I think that's something we had as a prior plan focus, something we certainly heard we did well, and something that we heard the advice from our stakeholders that we need to continue doing as a strength of Polk County schools. And then finally, in our previous plan, we talked about that focus on facilities, safeties, and operations. We saw feedback that talked about needing a safe, welcoming environment. It's no secret our buildings are aging. We certainly do the best we can with the resources that we have to keep them safe and to keep them kept up. I think we've definitely done a good job with the resources that we have had, and we continue to do so and be good stewards as we push forward and try to see whatever resources we can to continue to improve our school facilities. So wrapping everything up, to talk about these general trends and shifts, I think those are both really interesting. A noticeable increase in interest around practical life skills, trades education, and interestingly enough, mental health awareness. If you think about what our children have been through in the last several years, it starts to make sense. When you talk about, and I'm not just talking about COVID. I'm going to roll the clock all the way back to 2011 when we talk about the advent of the smartphone and all the research around what has happened to youth mental health ever since that hit the scene in 2011. I mean, there's increased suicide rates. There's all kinds of things attached to that adverse mental health conditions. So COVID certainly didn't help, but it's something we have seen as a trend playing out in schools. And it's interesting that our stakeholders are saying that back to us. We see it in our children. And so we need our schools to try to be aware of that and focus on those moving forward. And then finally, respondents strongly value small class sizes, personal connections, and overall quality of education. We've talked a lot with our stakeholders about having small class sizes is point blank a commitment by this Board of Education. You have to commit to that. That requires a fundamental shift in your financial resources, which is no small task, and it's something that this Board of Education is committed to for a long time. And we see the fruits of that labor. We see that commitment that is bore out in our schools, our community has responded by saying that is certainly a strength they would like for us to uphold. So I wanted for my section to provide just a little bit of a tie-in to our old strategic plan, and talk about where we're headed as we move forward. I'll turn things over to Ms. Frank.
So the next part of the process was to look at overarching things as we move forward with our strategic plan. And not to repeat some of the things that Dr. Schweitzer already mentioned. So one of the main strengths that we saw continuously over and over again was the reduced class size, keeping that in place, the small class sizes, and our strong relationships with the community. And so I do think we do a great job in Polk County Schools of maintaining both of those things. And then the next section was to look at the skills for student success. And once again, you mentioned we have a lot of community members mention over and over again that need for financial literacy with students and just day-to-day operations of how do you file your taxes, how do you manage money, how do you work in real-world responsibilities with financial literacy. So that thing became prevalent again. Also, a continuation of critical thinking and communication with our students, and to explore those trade and career readiness skills. So we're seeing more and more students that not necessarily going to pursue a four-year education at a university, but making sure that they have the skills necessary to be successful if they don't go to a university. And then areas for growth, we also looked at those needs for support for diverse learning needs. We want to continue to look at all students individually and recognize that they have their own abilities, and we want to make sure that we're meeting each and every student's needs individually. We want to continue project-based learning. That theme became more and more prevalent. I think we're seeing that more students respond well when they can put their hands on their learning. So project-based learning, and then a continuation of high-quality PD for our teachers and our staff. So research-based quality PD that is proven to be successful for classroom and student success. And then also with the community and student well-being, once again, as Dr. Schweitzer mentioned, the focus on mental health and support services for our students. And then also in opening doors for every learner, creating pathways for all students to thrive. So, and that may mean through technology, through enrichment opportunities, and personal support. So, once again, very similar themes that continued out throughout the process. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you. So, based on our feedback, at first, I just want to say something. She was great, she had a lot of time for this, but I do want to recognize this is something that he did not have to do. And I want to publicly thank him for taking the time to put the effort in to go through this process of strategic planning. Based on his impending retirement, it would have been very easy for him to say, well, good luck with that. But he didn't do that. He was willing to do the work. And we went to every school location and sat with groups of individual parents, teachers, community members, and got this feedback from them. So I want to say thank you to Mr. Green for willing to go through this process. It's been very beneficial for us. And again, just another tribute to you and part of your legacy that you were leaving with Polk County Schools. So what did we get feedback on that is showing us what we're doing well and what we need to focus on? Well, as we heard, it's small class size. As we go, we talk to potential teachers and career fairs and so forth. What is it that sets us apart? And it is our small class size, because the true impact on learning comes from teacher-student relationship. And in Polk County, that sets us apart. 86% of our budget, as you know, is spent on personnel. It's about people. It's not about programs. And this is something that we're hearing time and time again. Close relationships. We've heard that for many years. Relationships matter. That's really what it comes down to, is being able to understand and communicate with one another from pre-K through 12th grade and beyond. It's having and establishing those relationships. We have strong community feels. We all know we're in a community school. This is a prime example of a community school. It is to this community. And all communities have that community feel. And again, something that sets us apart. If we look at dedicated teachers, I think we can all think of at least 5 to 10 names that come to our forefront of our mind if we think about a dedicated teacher and the impact that teacher has had. And many of them are 20, 25, 30 plus years veterans who are in our school buildings today. who have impacted generations of families in Polk County. So I think that's another thing that unfortunately we're gonna have to address moving forward because we are reaching that age of retirement. So those teachers are now, considering the next part of their life, and being able to find people to replace them is going to be a difficult task. We have high student performance. We have effective communication. We're able to communicate with one another. Mr. Green and Dr. Schweitzer did a tremendous job of keeping our community and our school families informed about what's going on. And so that's been very important, and I think our community appreciates. And then that supportive environment for students, we have a very strong nurturing nature. So we look at, that's all the good stuff. So some of the negative, I wouldn't say negative, some of the opportunities for growth, like opportunities for growth would be something along the lines of more focus on trades and career training. I think this goes back to what Dr. Schweitzer was talking about earlier. When we're looking back at our old strategic plan, and then we're looking at the feedback that we're seeing now away from this globalized view and more of a singular focus on our community and our needs here locally. And that's what we're seeing with the college focus on trades and career training. I think it's something that's been a theme based on the feedback that we received. Ms. Crump mentioned the project-based learning, tailored instruction to meet individual student needs, because we all understand that students come to us at different levels, different places, and understanding that kids learn differently. And so trying to meet those individual needs of our students. Teacher training and support. As I mentioned, we have that better staff, and then we have new staff coming in, making sure that we have those supports in place to help some of our younger teachers, such as Ms. Crump has our beginning teacher program, and does a fantastic job of that. We also look at improved communication and transparency. Some of the things we got feedback on was not so much from a district perspective, but maybe a classroom. So different teachers may use Dojo. They may use different types of apps to communicate with parents. So they have to have different types of apps depending on where their child is at, which teacher they have. And so parents talk to us a little bit about it. It may be a little frustrating because you're getting in 3 or 4 different places. And so talking about maybe streamlining that process as far as teacher communication with families. Access to mental health and student support. I think that's something we're well aware of, something we've seen definitely since 2020, an uptick in mental health issues we've seen with our students. And then again, curriculum modernization, and that is something I believe, based on our focus on staff and relationships, that's something that we can also now turn our attention and focus on to some of that modernization as it fits Polk County schools. So at this time, I will turn it back over to Ms. Crump and Dr. Schweitzer for our graduate.
So as you know, the state set out to define what are the skills that students need as they exit high school. So are they going to go into the military? Are they going to go to a 4-year university? Are they going to go to a community college? Are they going to work with their family? But trying to define what are the skills that they need to be successful regardless of what route they take. So they met with, across the state, they got together with superintendents, with educators, with parents, with students, with community members, and started receiving input from all of those stakeholders. And they came up with the areas and the key skills that they feel like students need in order to be successful after high school. And those came into the categories of adaptability, critical thinking, communication, empathy, and personal responsibility.
So our question to our community and to all of our respondents and surveys was pretty simple. Of these 7 competencies that the state of North Carolina has identified and focused on, what are the 3 most important ones to you specifically? So that's what we asked our people to give us feedback on. And it's interesting what came back. Personal responsibility, 23.3% of respondents. Coming in second, critical thinking skills at 21.7. And in third place, communication skills at 20.6. Certainly there's lots of experiences and things that come to mind for myself, working with high school students for many years, and what I make of this data. But just at face value, it's really interesting to see what are those main priorities and what are those key things. Obviously, all 7 competencies are important, but it's interesting to see what our community values as the top 3.
So now that we have our feedback and our information, then it becomes critical as to what we do with that. And so, as Mr. Gray mentioned, this is a working document, this is a draft. And so, to kind of refer back, we have something called a one-page or a one-sheeter. It looks like this. So, we're taking all the information, and we wanted to create a document that our staff, our community, our families, all our stakeholders can refer back to. So what is Polk County School Strategic Plan really all about? Because all this is great, it's wonderful. But to have something that is visual for us to understand as we make decisions, as we face challenges, these are kind of core values and the things that we are basing our decisions on. So the vision statement that you see there, and I do want to give Dr. White some credit, that is a great slogan there at the top of the page. It says rooted in relationships and growing in purpose. And I think that's outstanding. I think we are rooted in relationships. And I think that's very something that's important to us and that we put a lot of pride in. A vision statement: every student inspired, prepared, and empowered for a future of lifelong learning and responsible citizenship. Mission statement: in partnership with families in our community, Polk County Schools prepares each student to thrive in a diverse, dynamic world by fostering academic excellence, personal growth, and the development of critical life skills. And then we have some core values as Polk County Schools: relationship, opportunity for all, community, integrity, and innovation. So when we drill down into everything that we have received, the feedbacks, the meetings, and again, this is not a finished document. We do have some community members we still want to meet with, some organizations locally to kind of get some feedback from them, as well as feedback from our board as to this document and where we're at. So I'm asking if you please have any ideas, any suggestions, please reach out to me and let me know that. You can reach out to any of us at any time, but we're happy to get feedback on that strategic plan. Any questions?
Actually, do you mind throwing the one pager up there?
Yes, sir.
That's what here's the one pager. You got it there. Okay.
Well, each of our board members has a printed copy of the one pager there with a reference. There we go.
Well, Mr. Murray was saying, I think you obviously you're a very important stakeholder. Ultimately, in June, we'll bring this back to you and finish form and ask you to vote on it. So we want you to have this month to take a look. I talk people to walk to, but really, figure out is this the direction that the board of education wants the administration to take. We feel like it's kind of a lot of good suggestions in there. This was an opportunity to hear where we're at, to know that we're almost finished up, and you guys inputs, please propose to the administration or give it the consideration.
Questions on
I recommend my whole team to take this amount of information and weld it together into something that I feel like is powerful. It says a lot for these three and for our whole administrative group. Such long.
I wonder if the limitation of our number of hours we can take for each GPA moving forward impact that a little bit when it comes to the trainings and things like that. We have more kids in the CC stuff.
I think as you heard Christine often share a presentation to this board, that is exactly that you will shoot kids to what we would call a more usable course of study. And this is a discussion that is going on widely around our state about this constant focus on just accumulating credits versus getting a clear pathway where you're headed. Conversations all in a lot of districts.
I'll tell you that one that's itching to try and get through as fast as possible. She's got a lot more in front of her, but the other one is trying to call the brakes and he wants to spend more time in school. And I see he graduated last year, graduated in December. So, yeah, I think it's good. For sure. Any other questions, comments? Thank you folks for all the work put into that, for sure. Yeah. Mystery, old business.
Yes, sir. I don't know if you saw, you probably did. I don't know if viewers had a chance to check their email. We did get a real quick revision to our AIG plan, which you guys have already done, already approved. The language is simply to mirror the statute language that's there on reassessment. And if they have, they want to file some type of contest or grievance towards it. So again, it's legal language that they want us to put in the plan. So without us bringing the whole thing back and you approve it again, if you're all right with direct administration, we'll make those changes as well. So that gives everybody. For sure. You are included the substantive part of it. That was beautiful. I would love to tell you that I have insight into where the calendar law is headed. I do not. I think, I was asked earlier today from a very knowledgeable individual about why Charlotte Mecklenburg, for example, going out and guiding what a wonderful bill is in the Senate. My comment back was because they never tasted the fruit on the other side. We've had county that we like in our community. I would be surprised if you don't see the difference in making changes. Maybe not next year, but the year following. We'll have to, again, keep up with it. It's not something we're sticking our head in the sand about. Our principals are aware of it, our directors are aware of it, and we may have to pivot as this board knows. But no update on that yet, other than it did pass the Senate. I assume, they'll be discussing it in crossover. And
That's 10%. They're all, bill, and it did pass to go to crossover and it was voted 111-2.
Yes.
In favor of eliminating calendar law. So,
the House bill is language that you want, which returns to the power of developing a calendar for the local board of education. Gee, I thought that's what community representation was about, but this is a little bit simple these days, so I'll hush. I do think there's going to be a little bit of a back and forth between the Senate and the House. It'll be interesting to see who ultimately prevails. And don't get caught sleeping, what they can do. So,
pass crossover.
right.
But it's probably depending on what the Senate does with this bill that y'all on, which is central.
Somehow I mean, what it is. All right. It's on the calendar. I'm aware of it.
That all for old business?
All business done.
All right, new business.
Under new business, I want to bring it next month, but I have to give a shout out to Deadline. Our construction technology teacher went and got his commercial GC. That ain't legit. For a teacher, they can jump contractor and pass it. So Deadline put the work and time and effort into it. That's the kind of teacher we've got out there. So we'll bring him up someday with you next month, maybe give him a little bit of a pat on the back. That's what we call Deadline out. He was excited about that. Also, okay, also we're going to brag about our athletic folks, and I know you guys approved field trips and overnight trips. As you know, if they earn the right to an athletic contest, we waived some of our requirements. Ms. Fagan met with us today. She does have all the information. Believe it or not, our golf team was actually in Pinehurst today trying to play golf. They postponed that, so they'll have another 18 holes tomorrow, and we believe that they'll probably reduce the work down to 18 holes instead of 7.6. So they're in action right now with Mr. McCool, bless them. Also the track folks are going to go to state. We had some qualifiers there, some teams that will go, and we'll bring that to your attention as well. I think that's everybody else going. Soccer's still in the playoffs right now. They're home for the time being, and we'll have to update you if they want. So we want to make it where those kids will be traveling overnight. And those persons.
Supposedly, they're still playing the soccer game.
That is correct. I'm not going to comment.
Okay.
Other than to say that I do believe the other school, this is Thomasville, it's the first time they've ever made it to a state playoff in soccer. So they just wanted to get it up because I think they're never coming to get beat. By the same token, weather is the great leveler, so I worry sometimes about it. But again, there's no way to push at this point in the school year all that forward. If you don't play over there tomorrow, you're probably gonna have time to get it in. And with it raining all day tomorrow too, probably just felt like I can get out of the way. So I'll be cruising your feet. Mr. Chair, I do believe, unless there's another issue, that you guys will this new business.
We have information report, we have April preschool monthly report, pre-K financial report, monthly financial report, a monthly credit card report. We have an early couples graduation this Friday night, the 15th, at 6:30 in the Polk High School auditorium. High school graduation will be on the 23rd, Friday at 7 p.m. Also at the Polk High School. Last day of school for students is the 23rd as well, half day. Memorial holiday will be May 26th. Last day for school for staff is going to be May 29th. And then ICC graduation is not going to be July 31st.
Actually, it's okay, there's a graduation for what we call our curriculum kids this Saturday. And then there'll be some other graduation on July 31st. There's agreed on any day of the summer class. And so that's probably, but I majority of our kids, like the early college kids will walk Friday for the early college, Saturday for ICC. I'll get it for you right here. So let me get experience information. Well, she's very thorough. At least that's what you tell them.
While we're waiting, I'll do a technical correction. We do have an incorrect date on the agenda that should, for PCEC graduation, be May 16th, not the 15th. The 15th is a Thursday.
No. Remember that's in your early say, actually. We said about early college. While you're looking at the screen, I'll go ahead and talk about the NCSBA over optional more training. We have some leadership conference, June 16th, 20th, White Beach. We have the lead training program, September 19th, at Crescent. And then NCSBA annual conference, so
So each Saturday, they line up at 9:30, I'm assuming graduation will probably be at 10 o'clock.
Yeah. 10 o'clock.
I think so. I'll verify that for you.
All right. Sounds good. All right. We do have one person sign up for Polk Finley. As far as we get part of the course, please, sir. It is Christian Smith.
Well, I think it'll be signed up on the wrong side and they came in the door. Shoot.
Okay. Sound like either. Fair enough. All right, then, with that being said, we look at full motions to look at closed session for purposes of discussing personnel and attorney-client privilege.
That's correct.
All in favor, say aye.
To the end, is that using time analysis.
7-0, motion passes.